How low you think Bitcoin goes in this cycle right here? If it goes any lower, where does it go?
I think it's pretty stable where it is right
Yeah.
now. I mean, most of the liquidation selling is out of the system. I think we should rally from here.
And then where do you think it ends the
I
year?
don't, but I don't believe in
Ends the
4-year
year, though. Ends
cycles
the year.
anyway. I
I
mean,
never believed in the 4-year
I
cycle.
think that they might have had some credence in the first 12 years, but right now, the 4-year cycle is somehow based on the idea that 225 Bitcoin a day get taken out of the supply after the next halving. That's $22 million or $20 million of buying. Trust me, $20 million of buying. The market traded 100 billion yesterday. 20 million is not even a third order issue at this point.
Yeah.
The dynamics in the market are much more that, Jerome Powell thinks he wants to hold interest rates higher for longer, right? It's macroeconomics, it's political, it's structural. When IBIT's derivatives market went from 10 billion to 50 billion, it did that in 4 weeks. I mean, so those kind of things, when JP Morgan, offers 10 or 100 billion dollars of loans against Bitcoin, that will dwarf the 4-year cycle. It's the actions of the mega finance actors that are determining the future of Bitcoin right now. And all the fundamentals are good. So my advice to anybody is, first of all, if you make decisions with a 12-month or less time frame, you're a trader.
Yeah.
If you're a trader, you're a trader. I have zero advice for you.
Right.
I'm not a trader. I'm not a good trader.
Yeah.
I don't purport to be. I have zero advice for you. On the other hand, if you're an entrepreneur or if you're an investor, you should have a time frame of 4 years or longer, 4 to 10 years.
Welcome back to the channel. Aaron here from the Bitcoin Bros. And as you just saw in that clip there, that was Michael saying the 4-year cycle is not coming back. And he's basically saying there's a lot of fear around that, maybe even why Bitcoin has sold off here so much over the past couple months. People believing that Bitcoin is going to peak in Q4 of this year. So take that for what it is. That's Saylor's thoughts on the current state of the market. And we're going to be getting into strategy today, Bitcoin news. And today's video may be a little clip heavy. I do have a couple clips that I want to share with you guys. But let's go ahead and get into it. Michael Saylor saying big week here, and he posts the strategy tracker from strategytracker.com. And all this basically means, if you are new, is that strategy has bought Bitcoin over the past week. And I think one of the reasons why he's saying this week is such a big week is because the STRE offering their new perpetual in the European market closed. So that's going to give them $700 million to go out and buy Bitcoin. So that on top of the preferreds, they're probably going to have anywhere from $700 to $850 million that they spent on Bitcoin over the past week. So probably somewhere around a 7,000 to 8,500 Bitcoin purchase. So that is a pretty big buy from strategy. Normally we see around $50 million to $100 million from strategy on a weekly basis, but this week's probably going to be a little bit bigger. And then from Bitmaster here, he's saying with strategy at a 0.987 MNAV basic, the market is basically saying the software biz is worth nothing, holding 64 billion of Bitcoin growing at around 60% a year is worth zero. Ability to keep buying more Bitcoin is worth zero. The Bitcoin held is worth less than 1 to 1. So yeah, if you look at the market cap versus where the strategy holdings, the market cap's around 57 billion, Bitcoin holdings around 60 billion. So the market cap is actually lower than the net asset value of the BTC right now. So that could be a sign that the market's just not pricing strategy right now. It could be a sign to buy the dip in the market. That's not financial advice. And as we've come down here, we're below $200 at 199.75. We're still in the top 200 companies in the United States, coming in at 187 right now. And strategy could still be included in the S&P in early December. That is a catalyst that we have to watch out for. Early December, we could definitely see strategy get included into the S&P 500. And just want to take a look at the chart here for strategy. I think the next support level we really have to pay attention to is going to be around 180 for strategy. And that is back testing some of the resistance levels that we saw last year. Right now, from the local top that we saw back in July, strategy is currently down around 53%. And if you look at the history of strategy, this is something that isn't common. After the Bitcoin bull market of 2021, strategy fell around 80%. As you can see here, even if we don't take the top, if we take the top in November for strategy, Take that to the bottom. Strategy fell 80%. And the last year, strategy had a lot of 50% drops. If you take the Pico top here and you go all the way down to one of the Pico bottoms, it's around a 50% drop for strategy. So these 50% drops are nothing out of the norm for strategies, something we've seen in the past. This is a very volatile stock. And I know a lot of holders have been very frustrated, especially if you take this from the blast off top that we had back in November. We're currently down 63%. But we believe that eventually Bitcoin will go back up again. Bitcoin will head to $1 million. And when that happens, we'll start to see strategy have some price gains. Can we go into a bear market next year? Potentially. Can Bitcoin trade sideways or down over the next years? That's definitely a possibility. But I've been saying the past 3 to 4 months is we believe around 60% that this is going to be an elongated cycle. 40%, this is going to be the return of the 4-year cycle. So that's where our thoughts are. And also, we have been preaching to have some cash on hand to buy these dips when strategy is on sale like it is right now. And if Bitcoin goes on a bigger sale, you want to be buying these strong assets at cheaper prices, because nobody wants to buy when things are falling. Everybody wants to buy when things are at all-time highs. And you can see that in engagement, in the comment section, on Twitter. Everybody is upset when things are falling and they believe things will go lower. But when we're at all-time high prices, people believe that things are going to continue to go up. Be greedy when others are fearful, and be fearful while others are greedy. And that saying has been very true in the crypto market. And also, just wanted to share with you guys, we did just launch some hats called Big Caps. You can check it out. I'll link it in the comment section and the description below, bigcaps21.com. We just launched 10 new hats. As you guys can see, I'm wearing one right now. So make sure to check that out. Got some pretty cool cat hats that we designed for any Bitcoin holders. But outside of that, there's a clip here from Rob Paul. I know a lot of you guys might not agree with Rob Paul, but let's see where he says the market's going to be heading in the short term. Let's go ahead and check out this clip here.
We are now still in the early phase of phase 2. This is not a phase 2 correction. We've barely broken out. In fact, most other assets, thinking about stuff like total market cap, X, Bitcoin, and ETH, haven't yet broken. Now think of the banana zone here. All of these previous 3 were all only one period wide, this 1 year. This one will be wider. So which is why the market looks less parabolic at this stage. But the parabola will occur, and Julian showed you with that work earlier, and we will have a phase 2 correction.
So as you can see, Rob Paul believes there is an elongated cycle. And one of the charts that he always looks at, and the one chart that we've really been paying attention to, is going to be that PMI chart. And that is maybe one of the reasons the business cycle is elongated this time. So that means the Bitcoin cycle may be elongated. But also to talk a little bit about the Fed interest rates, what's potentially coming. I think some people think that a 25 basis point cut is, going to happen in early December. Right now, the market is actually pricing in 60% chance that the Federal Reserve is not going to cut interest rates. And to me, this doesn't make any sense, because there's basically nothing has changed since the last time they lowered interest rates, because we haven't gotten any data yet. And we are going to get some data this week. So we're going to get the jobs report on November 20th. But this isn't the October jobs report. This is the September jobs report. So we may not even get that October job report, because the government wasn't open to even, send out the surveys for that data. So we may not even get the October report, but we're definitely going to get the September report, and that's going to be on November 20th. And depending on how these numbers look, it's definitely going to change the way the Federal Reserve looks at lowering interest rates in this December 10th meeting. So we have to pay attention to these. And then we also, which is really interesting, we're going to get a CPI reading on December 10th, right before the FOMC meeting. So they could be making a last second decision on whether they're going to lower interest rates or keep them steady. And I really doubt that they would raise interest rates. But the CPI data is going to come out right before they actually have the FOMC meeting. And then we are going to get another jobs report for November. That is going to be on December 5th. So we may just miss the October number. That may not happen. You can see right here, it still says November 7th, but that may just not happen because they didn't file the survey for that. So the next dates that we're looking for is November 20th and December 5th, and the CPI number on December 10th. So there's a lot that could sway the Federal Reserve's tone here, and we may or may not get another interest rate cut. but also checking out the Bitcoin ETFs. This is something that we have been looking at almost daily on our channel. And you can see we have been very red, a lot of outflows over the past couple of weeks. On Friday, we got another $500 million outflow selling out of the Bitcoin ETFs. This is because of the fear in the market. There's a lot of uncertainty. There's a lot of uncertainty in the stock market as well, the traditional markets, and people are selling off the Bitcoin ETF because they believe next year we may go into a recession. So people are rebalancing their portfolios and getting out of BTC. And as this continues to happen, Bitcoin's price is going to continue to head down. This is something that we have continually said on our channel. If the ETF flows are going down, Bitcoin's price is going to go down right along with them. And that is what we've seen over the past couple weeks. Bitcoin's price has fallen all the way down to around $95,000. But that does not mean that the sentiment cannot change and that inflows can come back into the Bitcoin ETFs. I think we just have to be very patient. But that's really all I had for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed, found some value. If you did, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe. We have new content coming out every single day. And I do have another clip to share with you guys from Charles Hoskinson. He's the founder of Cardano, and obviously we don't talk a lot about other cryptos on our channel. He's not talking about other cryptos. He's talking about the state of the market. And I just thought that this is something that, we kind of agree with. And this is what we've seen in crypto time and time and time again. So my name is Aaron from Bitcoin Bros. I'm out. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Let's go ahead and check out this clip here.
Crypto is the opt-out. Crypto is the exit. Crypto is the solution. And so, yes, the markets go up and yes, the markets go down. But there's some directionality to that. The long term, we win. There's 550 million people in the cryptocurrency ecosystem, and there's going to be 1 billion by 2030. 1 billion. The majority of the world's stocks and bonds and equities will be in the cryptocurrency space by 2030. And all of y'all paper hands are just running around. Be like, oh no, the markets are falling, the markets are falling. What do I do? What did I do? We all headed for 10 trillion, guys, because trillion doesn't even mean anything anymore. The dollar doesn't mean anything anymore. Everything ought to be priced in crypto.